I'm going to try real hard to stay focused. And I got my notes here. I'm going to try to make sure that I refer to them. But there are some things that are bubbling up in me right about now that I'm going to have to get out. And so please forgive me if I'm off track just a little bit. One of the things about me is that I'm always kind of candid. So if I'm politically incorrect, please forgive me. Charge it, please, to my head, not my heart. But I think there's a necessity many times for things to be said that make people uncomfortable, because it's in that spot of uncomfortableness or that vulnerability that we tend to grow. And I've learned that the hard way, probably this last year or so. I stand before you as the proud mayor of the city of Muskegon Heights. And I'm fine with people calling me Mayor Sims, but I much rather prefer Kim, because that's kind of the name my mom gave me, and I'm not big on titles. I consider myself a servant. To bridge humanity, to present an opportunity for a bridge to platforms, to bring us together across our differences. That's how I see me. Now, if you rather refer to me as mayor, that's fine. I'm getting used to it, but I would prefer Kim. So again, thank you for the opportunity to stand before you this morning. I just want to give you a little bit of a brief history of how I started doing what I'm doing now. It was certainly never my intent or my desire to become the mayor of the city of Muskegon Heights Trust. It was certainly never my desire nor my intent to even be in politics. No, that wasn't it at all, right? We used to live on what we call the south side of Muskegon Heights, my husband and I, and every morning as I would drive to Muskegon Oceana CAP Head Start program, where I was a parent involvement coordinator, I would ride past a huge field, an abandoned lot. Abandoned lots aren't new to Muskegon Heights, just of recent. And so on this field, there was a huge tree that stood in the middle of this lot, and there was a milk crate nailed to this tree, and there was always a little boy every morning consistently shooting hoops in this crate. I would ride past him, I see him. He even got to the point where we would wave and acknowledge one another. Then it hit me, well, why is that a milk crate, not a park? Why can't we do something a little bit different? Why is that okay? And just like I see it, I'm sure other people see it, so why is that okay? So then I took up on a charge. I said, we're gonna make that a park. Right? And I got a group of neighborhood people together, and we decided and charged upon the fact that this was going to become a park. We got the church across the street to donate the land to us so we could create this park. And that was my first adventure into fundraising. We were gracious. We got the community kids involved. They had their vision. I was trying to figure out how we were going to keep that tree in the middle of this park, right? Because that was the reason, right? That was symbolic. Yeah, we ended up having to tear the tree down because it didn't fit with the plans of the kids for their park. The city council was so mean about us wanting to put that park there. They were just like, well, no, you can't do this. There was just roadblock after roadblock after roadblock. You can't be kidding me. We just want to put a park in for the kids. So it was at that point that I decided, oh, okay, well, if we're gonna, you represent me and I don't like the mindset by which you're representing me, we need to do something different. So I ran. So that I could change the mindset, right, of the people that were there. But that's also the opportunity that I was given to learn so much more about my community. Although I had been born and raised in this community and had been forever, I went to school, I came back home because that's what I chose to do, right? The first time I lost. Second time, I lost. The third time, once they figured out I was Vera Green's granddaughter, Chester Russ's niece, Harvey's daughter-in-law, everybody knew me, right? So now I was legit and I won. And I served the community then for 12 years prior to me deciding that I was going to run for mayor. Not because I wanted this position, but because we had worked so hard to keep the city of Muskegon Heights out of receivership, right? Because that would have been the first glimpse of an emergency manager. In 2008, we were in terrible, terrible financial distress, right? And so we had to make some real hard calls, some real tough decisions to keep the city itself out of emergency management. And so we had worked so hard to do that. Well, then I couldn't very well just step back and go home and start baking cookies, although he would like me to, right? I couldn't just step back and just let anybody now become the mayor. I felt like it was important that we had a mayor that was in place who understood and got it across the racial lines, who understood and guided across the government lines, across the red and the blue, across the red and black, the black and white, right? And so I felt like, okay, I get it. I'll do it. He agreed, and here I stand before you now. So that's just a little glimpse of why I got where I've gotten. And so what I want to kind of talk to you all a little bit about this morning is just life versus legacy. And you kind of referenced it just a little bit, right? Because you knew the Muhammad Ali, wasn't the one that they vilified. The people who came before us very much knew and understood that if they were going to stand and they were going to fight the fight and the plight of blacks in this country, it could very well cost them their life. They were putting everything on the line. They were putting their families at risk. They were opening up the doors for many vulnerabilities. And for many of these people, we saw that it did cost them their very thing that they put out there, their lives, right? And so many times, and this is just me, and from talking to some people within my community and how they understand and how we see things, right? Because regardless as to what you may feel or what you may think or what you may think you see from the people in the city of Muskegon Heights, we're a community full of mothers and dads who want the best for their children, right? We're a community of people who want the best for ourselves. It may look different than what you consider the best, but it's what we've decided the best. There are some things that confine us and that are around us that don't necessarily allow us to get to it. The accessibility is not necessarily there, as easy as it may be for you. However, there is a desire in us for better and to want to do better. So please don't look at the city and the citizens of Muskegon Heights to feel like many of us are there just because we can't go anywhere, because we can. Many of us are there and choose to be there because we want to be there. That's where we want to choose home. And so while some may not find value in it, there are many of us who find great value in that community. And one of the things that it struck me as, and it was very interesting because we're a homeschool family as well. And so when I was pregnant and we had our last son, many of my friends came from the Grand Haven area, across the bridge, down the highway, and they prepared meals for us, which was really cool. But as we're sitting out on the front of the porch, they just kind of stood around in awe. Like, so you guys do this all the time where people are just out like that and you guys just run? Yeah. So you mean, yeah. That's Mr. Ferguson, and that's Rondell, and that's, Mayor Commissioner Wilkins is my next door neighbor, and that's Commissioner Wilkins, and so I went through the litany and gave some history of just the community, and she stood there like, wow, we don't do that in Grand Haven. Then why is that? How is that community? And we begin to dialogue about that. And we begin to have that conversation. She's like, you guys got something real awesome here that I don't think you realize. Well, it's just home. She was right. I didn't realize it. So there are some real treasures and some real treats in my community that I love, right? That we many times take for granted and don't realize that. But now we need to figure out how to share it. We need to figure out how to share it. And so we talked a little bit about that this morning in the open circle, which was really cool, by the way. This is my husband, Andrew. I apologize. He is probably one of my biggest fans, and yes, quite honestly, I'll admit I probably take him a little bit for granted because he's my husband, right? And so we tag team off stuff very, very well. And so we talked a little bit about life this morning and the life that we experience in the city of Muskegon Heights, right? And why it may be very different from yours, it's valuable to us, right? And so what I want to talk about now is just a little bit of legacy and what it is that we leave behind. And I think I touched on it just a little bit when I had the pleasure of presiding over the ceremonies for a dear friend and a mentor, right? Legacy isn't so much about what we leave behind, it's how we leave it behind, right? And so I question myself on that daily. And I will be honest with you. There are some people in my community who see white folks come in and they question, are you there because you understand and you get the need to want to impact the life? Or are you just there to do good deeds and create something, a legacy that your children can look back and say, oh, my grandpa did this. Oh, look, my dad. Which is it? Right? So there are those questions that some of my residents will see you coming in and in their minds have, right? So I question that to you. Which is it? Are you looking at impacting the lives when you come into the city of Muskegon Heights? Or are you there just by creating a legacy, right? either one, right? But let's be candid and let's be real about what it is that you're actually looking at. Because the one thing that I've found, Muskegon Heights needs a group of people who can be not just an echo. Yep, that's going on. Yep, that's going on. We need a voice. Someone who's going to stand up and see the injustices that face my community and are going to raise the question. And are going to force the dialogue and the conversation. And not just stand back idly and just let them be. Well, yeah, they're suffering over there and poor them. Yeah, they probably should do something a little different. That's all things we've heard before, right? We need a voice. We need somebody who's going to be in this community and say it's absolutely wrong what they're facing in that community. It's absolutely, it's deplorable that the kids in that community don't have basic experiences like other kids do. What are we going to do about that and to change that? Because one of the things that has happened in our community over the last 30 years is a huge disinvestment within the community, right? Resources, jobs, money, the economic impact of what you see right now, right? So how can we come across our differences? How can we come across the bridge and down the highway to make a difference, to be able to impact that? Because the bottom line to all of it is the kids in my community, they need to see a difference. Well, I tell people all the time, right now, what we experience in our community is not normal. And you've heard me say it on the documentary, and I keep saying it. To go to sleep and to hear gunshots and have to question it, that's not normal. To walk past grass that's as tall as, trust me, it's not normal. So how do we help in this community to build a more normal consistency? The mindset in our community, and it's unfortunate, we've been left marginalized so much to the point where it's created a huge vein of hopelessness. Huge, and you see it. How do we change that? How do we restore the hope that once was there? Tiger Pride is very real, right? Because we had that sense of community during that time, right? But how do we restore the roar? You'll hear Alina say many times, right? So those are some of the uphill battles that we're facing. Now, don't misunderstand me, and don't think that I'm not acknowledging that we have some real issues in the city of Muskegon Heights. We do. And we're coming to a point where we're ready to acknowledge those issues, but not embrace them. Because once we embrace them, then they can't be changed. We hold on to them like it's ours. That's not what we're trying to do. We're trying to acknowledge them and then move from that point to recreate something that's much different. One of the quotes, as I was trying to find some quotes that kind of stuck with me, is this one. Hold on, let me read it out of the book, because this appears my writing last night was not. Okay, it was one. This was one, right? We ask that people, when they come into our community, they come and to learn and to see with their mind's eye open. Because one of the things that we're finding is that the eyes are useless if the mind is blind. To me, that was powerful, right? So if in your mind you already have your perception, if in your mind you already have your decided notion, what your eyes see is irrelevant if the mind's eye is closed. So we're asking, as you come and as you engage with us, open your mind. Give us an opportunity to share. Give us an opportunity so you can see what Muskegon Heights is all about. And then another one that I found that was really, really inspiring to me. If you are neutral in situations of injustice, you have chosen the side of the oppressor. If an elephant has its foot on the tail of a mouse and you say that you are neutral, the mouse will not appreciate that neutrality. Desmond Tutu. And so it's with that I want to close, because trust me, I can go on and on about my community and my passion for that community all day. But don't have your foot on the tail of the mouse. Okay? If you see an injustice, raise it for us. We want to love you, and we certainly want you to love us. It works both ways, right? And so with that, again, I just want to say thank you all so very much for the opportunity to speak before you. I think I'll be here for some question and answers. And trust me, I love dialogue. I'm here to learn as much as I am here to share. So again, thank you all very much.